CRT Matt here, and today I'm doing a video for all those out there who are overwhelmed and full of anxiety about building their modular terrain for Deadzone, Firefight, and Halo Flashpoint. I recently bought the 3D terrain set, and I've built a few in the past. I broke open the new box, and I was faced with the same problem. So I'm going to show you exactly how I did it, and it was a lot of fun. The first thing I did was organize all my pieces into no more than 2 zones worth of terrain. What I mean is 1 to 4 wall pieces with 2 roof sections. And I did not want to make my terrain any bigger than 2 zones. I organized them into walls, roofs, platforms, sides, and like pieces. Then I spread them out on the table in stacks of what I was going to do with the buildings. Now those buildings changed as I built all this modular terrain. Because when you go along, you figure, oh, I'd rather have a wall here, or a roof here, or a section here. So you'll see when you're building these that your creativity will start kicking in. Now I'm building these no bigger than 2 zones, period, in length or width, because of the fact that they stay modular. That way you can stack them, you can put them in any configuration, and they can be bigger, they can be smaller, they can be taller. And that's what I figured, how I can get all of my terrain modular. That way they can be stacked together and pushed together. And leaving open sides for Deadzone, and also leaving the open sides to put buildings together to make bigger buildings for Firefight. If you want to make an enclosed building, it's going to be 6 walls, 2 roof pieces. If you want to make 1 open side, it's 4 walls, 2 roof pieces. And then if you build 2 of those, you could put them together to make 1 big 4x4 zone to modular building for Firefight. So it works on all fronts, and you can configure the terrain in any fashion you want, in any direction, in any way. I found that the best way to do that is with the 2 zone rule. So rule number 1, 2 zone rule. Also, you need to consider keeping the same style walls with the same style walls in one building. That way there's some cohesion and they kind of look like they belong together. But you don't have to necessarily do that. You can do whatever you want, and that's what's great about this terrain. You have 2 different kind of connectors. One is flat, the other one's at a 90-degree angle. There's other ones too that are completely flat and at a different angle. We're not going to worry about those. When you're putting these buildings together, make sure that you put all your clips in for the side walls and for the roof pieces in your side walls first, because it makes it a heck of a lot easier to put the roof piece on if all the 90-degree angle pieces or connectors are glued in or snapped in first, and then you can just snap your roof on with ease without having to do any bending or reconfiguration. And that's what I'm doing. I'm using this 90-degree angle tool that I have for my woodworking. If you don't have one, it's okay. They're real cheap. You can pick one up. They're really inexpensive. But if you don't have one, it's okay. I just do that. I just have one to make sure that all my walls are pretty straight when I'm putting them in. And as you can see, I put all the connectors in before I put the roof piece in, because it makes it a heck of a lot easier to snap that in that way than it would be trying to put it on the roof piece and trying to connect it into the wall, especially for these little 2 zone pieces. Putting all these pieces together wasn't really that hard, but some of the connectors were a little stubborn, so I had to give them a little bit of a oomph using a tool to put them in there. And just keep carrying on building them a little bit at a time, 1 piece at a time, 1 connector at a time. And at one point there, I'm using my clippers to squeeze those fasteners into the building. I'm almost finished with the second building, and it did not take long at all. It can be tedious, just stick with it. You'll get it. And as you can see, they're stackable. They're 2 zones. They can go on top of each other. They can go side by side. They can go any which way you want to put them on the table for Firefight and Deadzone. And now we're going to add some railings and a few extra things to these buildings. And this is where I'm telling you that things change as you build them. You see pieces, you get an idea, and you throw it together. And I also thought a really cool idea on this big building is to put a little platform off to the side. This worked out pretty good. They fit really nicely. You might have to trim the pegs just a little bit to get them to fit in there, but eventually they'll go in there and your platform is fixed to the building and it looks really awesome. For this next building, I thought it looked really cool on the 3D terrain set. For Halo Flashpoint, they had one of these one zone buildings that had railings all the way around the top. And I thought that would look really awesome on my table as well, and for Halo and for Deadzone. So I went ahead and made one. And just like our other buildings, put all the 4 walls together, put all your connectors for the ceiling, and then put your ceiling piece on. It makes life so much easier if you do it that way. Why you would do it the other way, I don't know, but more power to you. This is the way I found that's the easiest way to throw a ceiling on this modular terrain. Now it's time to put on our railing. And I would recommend putting 2 straight ones on the front side. Don't worry, it still looks cool. And then 1 angled 90-degree piece on the inside of each one of these. Now it might be a little tricky, but while the glue's having time to set, which is this liquid cement, is what I would totally recommend. Any kind of liquid cement. That way you have a little bit more time to work with the glue. You put them all on there with the straight pegs, and you go in there behind it, just bending it a little bit and putting those 90-degree angle pegs into the back of it, and it makes it a real solid building. I'd like to interrupt building to remind you guys to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. It really helps me out, and it helps that algorithm out for YouTube to suggest this content to those who are also trying to figure out how they're going to build all this terrain and what they're going to do. Back to the build. Now with our one zone building finished, we're going to move on to our biggest building out of this whole entire box. We're going to lay our pieces out, make sure we have all the walls that we need. It's going to be a 2-zone piece on the bottom, a 1-zone piece on one side of the cube, and then stacking another 1-zone on top of that. And at the very top, we're going to have a grate and the cross beam members. Just lay everything out first to make sure you have all your pieces together in the right order. That way, it's easier and quicker to build, and you know you have enough pieces to complete the job. I built the bottom section, I built the middle section, and now I'm putting the roof on the top tier. Make sure, just like with all your other buildings that you built so far, put the 90-degree pegs in first, and then put your roof in there. And if they're a little stubborn, you can take your clippers or something heavy enough to press down on them to where they'll snap in. It's pretty awesome looking already. This is my favorite building so far. And then my creative bug worked again, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to put some half walls in this building on both the second level and the top level to give it a little bit more cover when they're sitting up high. And once we have that big building finished, we're going to look at our pieces we have left over. Can we make something out of this? Absolutely. We're going to take 3 of our grates or half platforms, and we're going to build ourselves a platform that we can stick anywhere in between any buildings as we see fit when we're playing our games. Now, I know it's an oddball size because it's going to be bigger than 1 zone, but trust me, it'll work. You have 4 pillars and you put them in between each one, and it works great. I imagine this platform being 1 full zone and a half. That way you can move from 1 zone to the next, but you can be higher up in the same zone. Our piece is looking a little slim, but we still have enough left to finish our project. And with our triangle piece done, we have 2 half platforms left. And I thought, you know what? These look like half walls. I'm going to add this to an existing building I've already built, and it would look amazing, and it would sturdy that building up on that one corner. Whew, we did it. So we built all of that terrain that you saw before you, and bit by bit, we made a little one zone with barricade all the way around. I liked the way it looked on the 3D terrain set. We got a three-tier building here with little half walls in it on opposite sides just to make it more rigid with a window. I put a support in here to help it out. I put the gate around it there. We have this one from my Deadzone set, which goes well, which is cool, with these right here. The last three that I had was one triangular piece, this door opening, and one of these corrugated walls. And I think a little half wall, a little half zone with a door in the middle there, I think that would look awesome on a table. So we went ahead and built it instead of adding on to an existing building, which I did do. I added these two panels right here because this was just open, and I think it added to the structure very well. And that's a 2-zone with a 1-zone, and I did glue that together. I kept the barricade the same. I did build these pylons with a platform to walk across. This can be actually placed anywhere. It can be placed in front of anything or anywhere with the pylons. Now the pylons, you could have not included these bottom pieces because they can actually be doubled up. They did have the notches in the bottom, but honestly, I just shaved them off and now it's just one piece. I put together the steps, which is awesome. I love the steps, and I have 2 more of those to build, so that's going to be awesome. We're going to have plenty of steps. We got the barricade, and I built that with a little piece on the end to where if I'm playing firefight, I'll be able to clip this on here pretty easily and have a huge firing line barricade sitting right there, which is awesome. So that's cool. And that'll be modular. And like I said, everything's modular. So I didn't go over 2 zones. So you could literally put things, stack things together any way, which form you'd like. And you'll have a pretty substantial big area, either for firefight or for Deadzone. And of course, I had this small piece I made from the Deadzone kit. And this is a lot of terrain. This is quite a bit. Now this one, Captain Steel, he approves, by the way. Commander Steel, I should say. So this one is a 2-zone box. Now, I did say this was going to be glued together for firefight into one building, like so. And I am actually not going to glue it together, even though I really, really want to, because these pieces, these support pieces, you can put in here fairly easily, right there in the bottom, on both sides, and it stays together. And you won't have to worry about gluing it together to stay together because you just keep these pieces with this building. And I had plenty left over. And there you go. It stays together. There it is. And it'll stay together on the table itself. And then you have one big 4-zone building. Now I'll take those off. The sides, and you want to make sure you paint them the same color as the building. There we go. Take those off the sides. Now we have 2 little small zones. So what do? You get this Deadzone terrain, 3D terrain set. What do? Well, there you go. This is what you do. You kind of let your imagination run with this. You lay everything out, put everything on the table, have an idea of where you want to go. You want to have a 3-tier building, you want to have a 2-tier building, you want to do everything modular. You don't want to do crazy stuff like this, where I've got 2 zones, but I did that. But at the same time, it's overwhelming because you haven't seen any built, you haven't seen any put together. And I hope this helps. I hope this helps those people out there that were overwhelmed when I got my first one and didn't know where to go and what to do. So this video is just a build video. So I built the terrain. I will show you guys what it all looks like at the end of this video. And then in my second video, I will be painting everything. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you got something out of this. That's all I've got. Ta-ta!